Hello, my name's Jonathan Bauer from Connected Curb, and today I'm talking to Shamala Evans-Gadgil, who is a EV infrastructure consultant. And I'm just going to ask Shamala a few quick fire questions to get her view on some of the key factors within rolling out EV infrastructure. So Shamala, could you just tell me, what do you think is going to be one of the major drivers to help drive EV adoption across end users?
Oh, absolutely. Charging infrastructure, the reliable charging infrastructure, residents or people being confident that they can charge where they live.
Okay, where they live. And we know that people who have drives can do this, but what about the on-street residential stuff? Is that what you're alluding to?
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. It is for both. If you've got drives, I think we are already seeing that the uptake with people who have got drives, but with people who don't have, who are on street parking streets, over there we definitely need charging infrastructure for to drive the uptake.
Okay, and my understanding is that the burden of getting that infrastructure in place is primarily sitting with district and county councils. What's your view on the speed at which those district and city councils are rolling that infrastructure out?
I mean, it is a shame, really. I mean, there is central government funding available at the moment, and in my opinion, what I think is lacking is the resource at borough, parish, or city level, that dedicated resource who is able to understand from a project management perspective, be able to deliver the project. That, I think, is what is lacking, that understanding of what is needed with the local authorities.
Okay. One thing, of course, that springs to mind is funding. Presumably for local authorities, funding is an issue. How might they address that?
Well, I'm not 100% sure at the moment that funding is an issue per se, because first of all, the central government, like OZEV, have made funding available for local authorities to tap into. That's 75% of the project cost. And then you've got the charge point operators who are, in a position to invest that 25% that is needed. So really, local authorities don't have to spend, other than have a dedicated resource that is able to drive the project, that is somebody who understands what needs to be done. And that, I think, is the big issue with local authorities at the moment.
Okay. In terms of the environmental impact, what are you looking for when you're picking or I suppose running your thumb over charge point operators? What are you looking for from those organisations to provide in terms of their service?
From an environmental perspective, I think it is more the whole idea of charging infrastructure is beneficial to environment anyway, because it is going to be servicing zero emission vehicles, so that in itself has a environmental benefit. But from having, for example, Connected Curb has this smart cities concept, which from my perspective has sort of plus points for from an environmental impact perspective as well, along with minimizing the risks that you have when you install charging infrastructure on street, because I mean, people do knock chargers down. I know that larger chargers have got bollards and so forth, protection wise and stuff like that, but even then they end up getting knocked. So when you have on street, which are slow chargers typically, the possibility of them getting knocked down is there, and managing those risks from an environmental perspective as well is quite important. So, you know, I mean, I hope I've understood your question correctly.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And in terms of, I think my last question really is, if you were, you know, if you were consulting and giving some advice to a council who was going out to tender or to explore the marketplace, what are the things that you would counsel them to sort of make sure that they understood, and that they also, you know, that they gave their potential provider the flexibility to articulate and you know?
Well, I personally, I think primarily it is just a few parameters. I would say that first of all, they need to do soft marketing. They need to understand their needs. They need to understand what because it is not one solution fit all.
Yeah.
I think they do need to understand what their area needs, you know, what kind of charging infrastructure is needed in their city, their borough, their parish. And based on that, then they need to do some soft marketing to understand, you know, are the charge point operators prepared to either do a fully funded project or the 25% investment that is required to match the 75% from the central government. They need to also sort of look as they are giving up space, because charging infrastructure is a commercial service.
Yeah.
Then the local authorities should also look at some form of revenue share.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, it is the local authorities who are going to have to monitor those spaces, make sure the restrictions when applied are upheld. You know, the civil enforcement officers are going to have to be called out if the place is misused by car owners. Okay. So there needs to be some form of that. And the main bit is not to go for a short-term contract. You must go for a longer term contract, allowing charge point operator to recoup their investment and be able to make profit. See, if charge point operator makes the profit that they want to make, then they are happy operators. They make sure that all their assets are in working order. If they are not happy operators, then it becomes a bit of a chore for them to keep those assets in working condition. So I think local authorities need to understand that aspect of it as well.
Okay, so, and it sounds like local authorities and charge point operators, you're looking for the classic win-win situation.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Okay, well, look, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. And thanks for your insight.
Thank you.